And now they're faced with a very real prospect of Donald Trump becoming the leader of the party, and it absolutely drives them crazy. They just cannot imagine sharing. Well, because he's an outsider. He's not them. He's not part of the club. He's uncontrollable. You know, he hasn't been through the initiation rites. He didn't belong to the secret society. You know, he hasn't been through the initiation rites. He didn't belong to the secret society.
Because you used the word Christian. Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of, I'm a religious person. Shockingly, because people are so shocked when they find this out, I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian. And I go to church and I love God and I love my church. And Norman Vincent Peale, the great Norman Vincent Peale, was my pastor. Even though we're Christian. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Frank, would give a sermon. I'm telling you, I still remember his sermons. It was unbelievable. And you could listen to him all day long. When you left the church, you were disappointed that it was over. He was the greatest guy. And then, you know, he passed away, but he was a great, he wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, which is a great book.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I don't bring God into that picture. I don't. But in terms of officially, I could say absolutely, and everybody. I don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of let's go on and let's make it right.
The Bible, you talked about, The Art of the Deal, great book. The Bible, even better. Why is that for you?
Well, there's so many things, like, you know, you take whatever you want to say, there's so many things that you could learn from it. Proverbs, the chapter, never bend to envy. I've had that thing all of my life where people are bending to envy. Proverbs, the chapter, never bend to envy. I've had that thing all of my life. Proverbs, the chapter, never bend to envy.
And Fox is a great supporter of Israel and believes strongly in Israel. That I can tell you. I want to thank my Jewish daughter. I have a Jewish daughter. This wasn't in the plan, but I'm very glad it happened. I'm here. I'm not making speeches. I'm just going to say thank you all very much. It's a tremendous honor. We love Israel. We will fight for Israel 100%, 1,000%. It will be there forever. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We will fight for Israel 100%, 1,000%. It will be there forever. It will be there forever.
We're actually taking advantage of Israel, if you think about it. Because what we did with that stupid deal with Iran is the worst thing that has probably happened to Israel. Since day one, I would say maybe, potentially the worst thing that's ever happened to Israel.
Nuke Iran.
And I have so many Jewish friends where they go,
Let's nuke Iran.
I don't know what happened to Obama. They support him.
We'll be in war because
And they say, I don't know what happened. And some continue to support him. It's almost like, what are we doing? They support him. They're having fundraisers for him. But they say, yeah, he's treating us very badly. And then he walks into the room, they give him money. The whole thing is crazy. He has been so bad to Israel. And Bibi is a great guy. I know him. I was like, and I thought he made a great speech the other day. You know, I was one of the few people, I think the only one, he asked me to make an ad for him for his campaign. My name is Donald Trump, and I'm a big fan of Israel. And frankly, a strong prime minister is a strong Israel. And you truly have a great prime minister. In Benjamin Netanyahu, there's nobody like him. He's a winner, he's highly respected, he's highly thought of by all. And people really do have...
Donald's great-grandparents, Christian Johannes Trumpf and Katharina Kober, had sons, Christian Frederick Trumpf and John G. Trump. Donald's great-grandmother, Katharina Kober, was of Jewish descent. The surname Kober is German and Ashkenazic Jew, a name derived from the personal name Jacob or Yaakov. Donald's grandparents lived in the Karlstadt, Pfalz Rhineland area where they lived in Germany, comprised of Jewish communities from Mainz, Speyer and Worms. Germany became the center of Jewish life during medieval times. Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka and his two grandchildren are Jewish. Ivanka Trump converted to Judaism before marrying Jared Kushner, the son of New York Jewish real estate mogul Charles Kushner. She studied for her Orthodox conversion with Rabbi Haskell Lookstein of Manhattan's Telath Jeshurun Synagogue, and the same Rabbi Lookstein officiated her wedding. Trump and Kushner are members of Lookstein's Orthodox Synagogue and are Shabbat observant.
Thank you so much. I want to thank my Jewish daughter. I have a Jewish daughter.
It all started with Trump's father, whose apparent ties with New Jersey real estate mogul Murray Kushner got the business going. Donald's daughter is now married to Jared Kushner and turned Jewish to get him.
So the Iranian deal is one of the worst contracts I've ever seen of any kind, nothing to do with countries or anything. It's the most incompetently drawn document I think I've ever seen. You know, there's a couple of clauses. First of all, the 24 days everyone knows, but that doesn't even start, you know, the inspection period. That doesn't even start. The clock could keep it much longer than 24 days. These guys could clean up and you wouldn't know a damn thing, despite what they tell you. But there's so many elements, but one of the elements when Tim mentions Israel, there's sort of a clause in there that nobody's really understanding, that if Iran gets attacked, we have to help them. Now you say, what if Israel attacks them? Are we supposed to be fighting Israel? This is the most incompetent agreement that anybody has ever seen.
We will protect Israel totally.
We love Israel. We will fight for Israel 100%, 1000%. It will be there forever. Thank you.
With skyscrapers in his high-rising mind, young Donald set his sights on Manhattan, where Jewish sharks can send you packing. So he hired the well-connected and mobbed-up Roy Cohn, a notorious Jewish homosexual, as legal counsel. Trump's all in now, since all those connections Cohn brought in keep the ante high. You don't become a Manhattan real estate mogul without seeding the kosher pot. Donald's hand now includes Alan Weisselberg as CFO and Michael Cohen as legal boss. No lightweights here when dealing with the sharks. Trump knows how Hymietown works.
I think Schumer, who I'm very close to Israel, but Schumer comes from New York, very close. I have a great relationship, far better than our president has, that I can tell you, but who doesn't? I think Schumer did it with a wink. Not a bad guy, smart guy. Used to be a friend of mine until I did this, and I said, look, all bets are off. Look, I got to do what I have to do. I'm sorry. But I'll be able to get along with these people. You know, you got to be able to get along. You got to make deals. We can't always sign executive orders. The country wasn't based on executive orders. I mean, you got to get deals. So I pretty much believe, I mean, I really know the New York scene. I think they gave Schumer a little wave off. They said, look, you go ahead, oppose it, and this way you're friendly, and he has a large Jewish constituency, to put it mildly, the largest.
To put it very mildly, if Trump becomes pres, there's going to be lots of Jewish IOUs called in. You gotta make those deals. Take Carl Icahn, who bailed Trump out of his Taj Mahal bankruptcy. Hi, Donald. Carl Icahn here. Happy Passover, Carl. What can I do for you? Since it's Passover, I'm releasing you from that added loan. And by the way, I'm in a deal that involves Israel and need your help. Name it, Carl, and I'll get it done.
What do you think of the president's attitude towards Israel? Is he a friend of Israel?
No, I think he's one of the worst things that's ever happened to Israel. You look at what's going on, and I know Bibi very well. In fact, he asked me if I do a commercial for him. I think I'm the only so-called celebrity that did a commercial for him. And, you know, and it was a nice commercial and everything else, and I hope he's going to do great, and I think he's going to do great. But when you think about it, and I have so many friends of mine that contributed to the Obama campaign, I said that because they're so pro-Israel, I said, how can you contribute to the campaign? This guy is the worst thing that ever happened to Israel.
If Obama giving Israel $3 billion a year is the worst thing that ever happened to Israel, then imagine what Trump will do.
Donald Trump's mentor was Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn was the lawyer for the top mafia families of New York and Canada. Roy Cohn was a closet Jew and homosexual partner and friend of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. Roy Cohn ran the little boy's white male sex ring for the CIA. Felix Sater, whose father is a reputed Russian organized crime boss. Felix Sater is a top Bayrock executive in the Bayrock Group. Bayrock Group LLC was a real estate development firm that partnered with Trump on numerous projects after renting office space from the Trump Organization. Trump's close friend Roger Stone worked with Roy Cohn. Roger Stone and his wife were notorious for their swingers ads. Roger Stone defended his friend Roy Cohn, saying he was not a gay man, but a man who likes sex with men.
1. Trump's use of cocaine, completely bogus. Did I ever attend parties where Donald Trump used cocaine? Folks, Donald Trump has never used drugs in his life. Lastly, she wanted to know, what about the reports that Donald Trump is gay?
Steve Wynn, the casino mogul, is one of Donald Trump's key campaign advisors. In his victory speech in Nevada, Donald Trump singled out Steve Wynn as someone who gives him advice. Wynn's late father, Michael Wynn, formerly Weinberg, ran his bingo parlor in Maryland under the auspices of Anthony Fat Tony. Stephen Wynn is connected to the mafia, pushing gambling in USA and London, UK. Rudy Giuliani works directly for the Russian mob. Giuliani closed down the local Italian-American mafias. This allowed foreign mafias to take over. These foreign mafias were Jewish and came from Russia and Israel. Rudy Giuliani is backing Donald Trump to become president. What do Donald Trump's lawyers and political advisors all have in common? They are Jewish and all connected to the Roman Jewish mafia, and Donald Trump has many more Jewish friends in his circle.
Huge buildings in New York, you have to do it with Federal Reserve notes. You have to do it but with borrowed Federal Reserve notes. And we now know that the Federal Reserve System took over when they took out Kennedy in 1963. The intelligence community involved with the Federal Reserve System, global elite money bankers. And if you're going to build big buildings in New York and around the world, you have to be involved in that system. I knew this. We tried to ignore it because Donald was talking so much good stuff. that we forgot that he is involved with the cabal. Case in point, Felix Sater, the man on the right. You know that you've been hearing the stories all day. He's part of the could be involved with the mafia, Brighton Beach, Russian mafia, Jewish mafia. If you're going to build buildings, you have to have the mafia behind you in New York. That is a matter of fact. You crawl in bed with these people, you must know who you're crawling in bed with. And they don't forget about favors done. So yes, Felix Sater has done lots of work for the Donald. And the clip I'm about ready to show you is going to be even more stunning, because not only is Felix Sater working for the Donald, he's also working for the alphabets. And that should scare the hell out of you. So now we got the alphabets. Well, we always known that the alphabets worked with the mob.
Distinct pleasure of introducing the man of the year, Mr. Felix Sater. One fine day, 2.5 years ago, Felix invited me to join him at a private closed-door session in the Federal Building in New York. Only his immediate family members were allowed in, and he'd gotten special clearance for his rabbi to be there as well. I get there, and to my amazement, I see dozens of U.S. intelligence officers from all of the various three-letter intelligence agencies of this country, including some I had never even known existed. They're taking turns standing up one after the other, offering praise for Felix, praising him as an American hero for his work and his assistance in the highest levels of this country's national security interests. They were speaking about Felix Sater.
The story is of Felix Sater and his rise to power. Born in the Soviet Union in 1966, Felix Sater immigrated with his family to Brighton Beach when he was 8 years old. At 24, he was a successful Wall Street broker. And at 27, he was in prison after a bloody bar fight. And at 32, he was accused of conspiring with the mafia to launder money and defraud investors.
Donald Trump's grandparents were related. Reportedly, Trump's grandfather married his former neighbor, Elizabeth Christ. So, they said. However, it appears that Elizabeth, born October 10, 1880, was really the daughter of Christ and Anna Maria Rethon. Christ was Fred's uncle, his father's brother. Fred married his own niece.
You've looked into this is based on the fact that they're upholding practices from the Talmud which are abhorrent to the Torah and the teachings of Moses. They're utterly diametrically opposed, and they would, in the religious dimension, would be described as satanic.
And that's really my whole goal, is to expose Zionism, the synagogue of Satan, which the Bible reveals is mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of harlots.
Most of the Jews in Israel today, the Talmud Satan worshippers over there, are not real Jews. And people ask me, well, who's a Jew? Who are the real Jews? And you know what? It's so that doesn't even matter today, because the bloodline thing of Israel was demolished when the Lord died on the cross and rose again.
Next guest was used also in worshiping the devil, participated in human sacrifice rituals and cannibalism. She says her family has been involved in rituals for generations.
That Jesus himself experienced some of this conduct firsthand, and he referred to them as, the synagogue of Satan.
So we shouldn't even call these so-called Jewish clergymen, we shouldn't even call them rabbi. I call them rabbi as a term of derision or scorn, because they certainly weren't rabbi to Jesus, and never once did he call anybody in the Bible. There's never one example of Jesus calling a man rabbi, ever.
There is one group within side of Judaism, which goes back all that way to the time of Jesus, peace be upon him and his mother, which is very clearly satanic in that they recognize the concept of Satan, a dark force, a dark being leading dark forces, and that he is their hero.
Does everyone else think it's a nice Jewish family? From the outside, you appear to be a nice Jewish girl. Definitely. And you all are worshiping the devil inside the home? Right. There's other Jewish families across the country, not just my own family.
I asked him, what does the Bible mean when it says in Revelation 2 and Revelation 3 that in the last days the most wicked and evil force on earth, one that will persecute Christians and bring death and bloodshed to the whole world, is the synagogue of Satan?
One of the things I want to bring up here is also their preoccupation with murdering large numbers of non-Jews, or as they refer to us as goyim cattle. They take great pride and great pleasure in the destruction and murder of large numbers.
The rabbis were all promoted and became commissars and head of concentration camps. Yep. Most of the concentration camps were headed by Jews, and a number of the commissars or commandants of the Soviet Gulag camps were rabbis.
What kinds of things? You don't have to give us the gory details, but what kinds of things went on in the family?
Well, there would be rituals in which babies would be sacrificed, and you would have to,
babies.
Witnessed the sacrifice. Right. When I was very young, I was forced to participate in that, in which I had to sacrifice an infant.
And the purpose of sacrifice is to what? Is to bring you what? What are you sacrificing for?
For power.
Christ also called the Pharisees adulterers, an adulterous generation. The Talmud provides generous loopholes for adultery. It says the penalty for adultery does not include sex with a minor, the wife of a minor, or the wife of a heathen. The Talmud also encourages seduction of unwed adolescent girls called designated bondmaids. But it's important how such rapes are performed. With the designated bondmaid, one is guilty only in the case of natural connection, but not in the case of perverse connection. The Pharisees reasoned that rape in a perverted manner is outside the jurisdiction of the law. Normal rape, however, was punishable. In Babylon, sexual perversion of every kind had been a way of life for millenniums. The Pharisees were deeply influenced by such practices.
In 3 of the major treatises of the Talmud are found extensive passages which give legal endorsement to seduce and marry 3-year-old baby girls. In fact, many of the greatest rabbis of the Talmud, including Simeon ben Yochai, upheld this privilege. Today in Israel, thousands of Jews go to Meron every year to venerate the memory of Simeon ben Yochai, one of the most respected rabbis in the history of Judaism.
In one of dozens of endorsements of child sex, Simeon ben Yochai said, "A proselyte under the age of 3 years and a day is permitted to marry a priest." Agreeing with ben Yochai, the great Rabbah said, "When a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, it is nothing, for when the girl is less than this, 3 years and a day, it is as if one put the finger into the eye." The footnote to this passage says, "As tears come to the eye again and again, so does virginity come back to the little girl under 3 years." The same section confirms that sexual activity with small boys is in the same category. The intercourse of a small boy is not regarded as a sexual act.
And even starred as himself in an episode of Sex and the City. Just to add on, it says here Trump is a member of the Screen Actors Guild and receives over $110,000 pension every year. Why on earth they give a billionaire this is beyond me. A couple of years ago, Trump was taken to court over rape and assault allegations involving him and his ex-wife Ivana Zelnikova. Everything that supposedly happened was documented in a book by Harry Hurt called Lost Tycoon: The Many Lives of Donald J. Trump. I will read some of the excerpt to you guys now. If you don't want to listen, just skip the next 30 seconds or so. Suddenly, according to Ivana, the Donald storms into the room. I'm sorry, but why the hell is he referred to as the Donald? But anyway, he is cursing out loud. Your fucking doctor has ruined my bald patch. The Donald flings Ivana down onto the bed, then he pins back her arms and grabs her by the hair. The part of her head he is grabbing corresponds to the spot on his head where the scalp reduction operation has been done. The Donald starts ripping out Ivana's hair by the handful, as if he is trying to make her feel the same kind of pain he is feeling. He rips off her clothes and unzips her pants. Then he jams his inside her for the first time in more than 16 months. It is a violent assault. According to the versions she repeats to some of her closest friends, "He raped me." When the Donald finally pulls out, Ivana jumps up from the bed and runs upstairs to her mother's room. She locks the door and stays there crying for the rest of the night.
Don't hurt me no more.
Number 7. So, it seems that Donald Trump has a thing for his daughter, Ivanka Trump. First off, in 2006, he was on The View and was asked how he would feel if Ivanka posed for Playboy. His response was, "I don't think Ivanka would do that, although she does have a very nice figure."
If they were using her to...
I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird! Stop
You know what? You are
moving on. Well, you're known for saying outrageous things.
Also, in a recent edition of Rolling Stone, Trump said this about Ivanka. "Yeah, she's really something, and what a beauty, that one. If I weren't happily married and, you know, her father..."
We war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness that's up in high places.
So this is called the snake. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Oh, well," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman," sighed the broken snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a curvature of silk, and then laid him by the fireside with honey and some milk. Now she hurried home from work that night. As soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken and revived. "Take me in, oh tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman," sighed the broken snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried, "but if I hadn't brought you in by now, you might have died." Now she stroked his pretty skin, and then she kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman," sighed the broken snake. "I saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bitten me. Heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Oh, shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin.
"You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in."
Problem is, everyone said, "Oh, he really doesn't have a plan." Okay, so I had to do it. But I hate talking about it, because if I win, they know I'm going to do it. If I win, I would attack those oil sites that are controlled and owned by They're controlled by ISIS. They're taking tremendous money out. They are renovating a hotel in Iraq. Can you believe it?
But wouldn't you be destroying the wealth of Iraq?
No, let me tell you. There is no Iraq. There is no Iraq. their leaders are
Iraqis
corrupt.
might differ with you.
Excuse me, there are no Iraqis. They're broken up into so many different factions in
But
Iraq.
you don't think bombing Iraqi oil fields, which are now in the control of ISIS, but bombing Iraqi oil fields is going to anger huge numbers of people?
I would bomb the hell out of those oil fields. I wouldn't send many troops because you won't need them by the time I got finished.
Hey! You guys know right there. Thank you so much, everybody. Please have a seat. Have a seat. For generations, presidents have faithfully executed two great American traditions, issuing a proclamation that sets aside a Thursday in November for us to express gratitude, and granting pardons that reflect our beliefs in second chances. And this week, we do both. Of course, Thanksgiving is a family holiday as much as a national one. So for the past 7 years, I've established another tradition, embarrassing my daughters with a cornucopia of dad jokes about turkeys. This year, they had a scheduling conflict. Actually, they just couldn't take my jokes anymore. They were fed up. Fortunately, I have by my side here today two of my nephews, Austin and Aaron Robinson, who, unlike Malia and Sasha, have not yet been turned cynical by Washington. They still believe in bad puns. They still appreciate the grandeur of this occasion. They still have hope. Malia and Sasha, by the way, are thankful that this is my final presidential turkey pardon. What I haven't told them yet is that we are going to do this every year from now on. No cameras, just us, every year. No way I'm cutting this habit cold turkey. Good one. That was pretty funny. Thanksgiving is a chance.
Come will be peace upon peace.
Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump. I would bomb the hell out of them.
Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Even though the earth be removed, and Though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with its swelling, be still and know that I am God.
Could happen. You don't want to be left behind. Jesus said in Luke 21:36, "Watch therefore and pray ye always, that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and stand before the Son of Man." The Son of Man is at the right hand of the Father in heaven. That's where we're going to stand if we escape, if we're worthy, if you truly repent. Then you'll be saved. If you repent and believe the gospel. Time's running out. Jesus could come today. No man knows the day nor the hour.
Be quiet back there. Be quiet back there. Be quiet back there.
And with that, I just have two more words to say. Obama out.
And it's right to thrive as a Jewish state. So I want you to know.
Millions of people literally vanished off the face of the earth.
He doesn't want the American people in this situation. I don't blame
everyone, it seems, has lost someone.
Right next to my hope is
anybody's ever seen. For a couple of years, when he had to turn this next scene is out on one particular.
But right now, we have some great
fairly hard-hit area of the interstate. This man saw his wife and children
downtown Philadelphia.
and I think probably he disappeared and literally went insane. Police were there to control a mass shooting.
Just the president, but also our country. Americans need to contact their elected representatives